Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about two things that'll instantly help your automotive photography. The first thing is a good tripod. This is the one that I use. It's a Me Photo carbon fiber tripod. Folds up really small, it's fairly light, but it's very strong, very sturdy. The reason that I actually chose this one were kind of those attributes. So I needed something that was small, that allowed me to carry attached to my camera bag. Found, for me personally, I had bigger tripods in the past and they were just big and bulky and heavy, and I really didn't want to bring them places, so they didn't get used as much. So when I picked up this smaller tripod, I was more willing to take it more places, and it's really helped out my photography. I found that even comparing shots in brighter light, that a shot taken on a tripod versus a shot handheld is generally sharper on a tripod, and this becomes particularly more important as you get into lower light situations. You don't want to have to bump up that ISO to be able to handheld. A tripod's going to allow you to get away with lower ISO, lower noise, things like that. Plus, if you think about the way that I shoot, I do a lot of HDR photos, and those aren't possible without using a tripod. You don't necessarily need to go out and buy a super expensive tripod, but at the same end, you don't want a super cheap tripod. The whole point of having a tripod is you want something that's going to be stable and to be able to hold your camera. So if you think about those cheaper items, they're going to be more flimsy. And also think about it this way: you have pretty expensive lens on that camera, you have an expensive body, you don't want that toppling over. So spend a little bit of money, get a good tripod, get something that you're going to use, and it's really going to help the sharpness of your images, and it's going to allow you to do some things that you couldn't do without it. So like HDR photos, if you get into long exposure photography, time lapses, things like that are absolutely imperative to have a stable tripod. So the second thing that I recommend is a circular polarizing filter. What this filter does is it screws on the end of your lens, and when you rotate the filter, it cuts through the reflection. So if you have reflections of clouds or like a side of a building or something like that on your windshield or hood or side of the car, this actually cuts through that. It's kind of like magic. Now, the problem with this is you have to blend multiple exposures to get a good result. So if you turn the polarizer one way, you may get a good reflectionless area on the top of the car, but it's going to increase the reflections on the side of the car. So you may have to rotate it back or rotate it a little bit further and then take another shot and get the side of the car taken care of. And I actually have an example that we're going to walk through right now. I have these two exposures. So I did something with these. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I do a lot of HDR bracketing. So you can see the photos that I HDR merged here. As you can see, this circular polarized shot was for the top of the car. And then this shot, this series of HDR images, was for the side of the car. And then if let's just focus on these two for right now. So we have these two shots. And as you can see here, this is what the circular polarizer does. Watch the difference in this side window from this shot to the next shot. And then also here in the paint. See how much reflections are shown both here and here, and then you switch over to this shot and it just cuts through it. It shows the body line, it shows the black of the window. Same thing on the wheels, you get some reflections here and here, and it just cuts through all of those. Same thing, look on the top here. So you can see the building, you can see the overhang, the bright sun here, and then you go back to the other shot and it just cuts through. You can see the steering wheel through there, you can see the B-pillar, you can actually see into the mirror, into the back window of the car. And then same thing here on the hood. You can see all of these different reflections from the building, and this just cuts straight through it. So that's the big advantage of using a circular polarizer. But like I said, in order for this to be really effective, you're gonna need to take 2 shots. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click both of these shots. We're gonna hit Edit in, Open as Layers in Photoshop. And what this is gonna do for us is when we go over to Photoshop, it's gonna layer these 2 items together. All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and you can see we have the bottom layer and the top layer. Now, if you open these without doing that, something that you can do is you can select the top layer, select the bottom layer, go to Edit, and then Auto Align Layers. Just click Auto and OK. And what Photoshop will do in this situation is it'll examine the photo and it'll put them in perfect sync with each other. It'll line them up perfectly. So you can have no movement. So even though we were on a tripod and it's just a little bit off, so there was a little bit of movement, but now the backgrounds and everything are locked in place. So what we can do is let's figure out what the top layer is. So the top layer is good on the side and the bottom layer is good on the top. So what we're gonna do is just take this top layer here and we're gonna put a layer mask that hides everything on that. We're gonna get our brush tool, make our brush a little bit smaller, and we're just gonna paint over the top of the car. With white as our foreground color, we'll just go through and paint right over the top. All right, and as you can see, now our 2 layers are merged together. We got rid of those nasty shadows, nasty highlights, and we have clean windows here, here, and on the side. So there you have it. 2 things that will dramatically help your automotive photography. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, like and subscribe. Until next time, see ya.